Hey, girlfriend, have you ever felt that your worth, that you had to kind of earn your worth, that maybe you had to, um, oh gosh, felt like you had to produce? Your worth was tied to how much you produce, how much you accomplish, how strong you are, all of those things. You know what? If that is you, raise your hand, right? I relate. Just, nobody has to see it, but I know, Deborah, that I have felt all of those things. And I'm so excited to have you here today because we're going to be talking about your reflection, your story, and we just want women to know that they're not alone, maybe in their own story, where they're at. Maybe they're feeling exhausted. Maybe they're starting over. Maybe they're walking through heartbreak, all those different things, all those emotions that we have to get through in order to take that next step. And it is a brave step. And that's why we call this the Being Brave Tour. It's not like, oh, gone and conquered things. Maybe it's that you've gotten up and taken a shower today. Or taken that step. Maybe just you're a single mom and you're just having to get out there and just do that next step. And I want women to realize that that's a brave step. It's that everyday brave that we as women take. And so I'm so glad to have you here because you were part of our recent issue of the Beautiful Faces Going Places Women's Success Network with Carol Dockham. And we brought all these ladies together with these reflections. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here to join us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And tell us, you know what? Let's start off a little bit with your story so women can kind of get to know you and tell us what you do and a little bit where you were when you were thinking of bringing this reflection. What was kind of coming to mind of one of your stories in your life?
Well, I think the story that really most impacted me in my life, and I've had several, but the one that most impacted me was I owned a day spa for about 14 years. I had a
Mhm.
partner who was also my best friend, and that ended in a heartbreak for me
Mhm.
because not only did I end up having to leave the business, but my partner passed away. And so starting over from that was completely different from anything I had really experienced because I I really didn't know what the next step was because that was my dream to own this wellness spa, and we had 28 employees. And so when I left, I was leaving something that we had built from zero to now having multiple employees, and I had to leave them behind and go on in order for me to um, go into what God had in plan for me for my next mission. So I really didn't know what was going to happen at that point. I felt very broken. I remember looking in the mirror and saying, I don't know if you can do this again. And it still kind
Yeah.
of makes me tear up a little bit because I really remember all that emotion of feeling like, how are you going to start over? What are you going to do different that you don't end up in this same situation, right? And I was alone because, I had a partner in the previous business, right? So not that I hadn't owned businesses before that, I had, but I always had a partner. And so here I am now, I'm on my own. I'm not really sure if I'm capable of this. And I feel like a failure, right? Because the business has now went from zero to, a middle-sized company, and then now I'm back to zero and I'm by myself. So I think that was an experience that really changed who I was. It really strengthened my faith because I had to lean more on God and what He
Mhm.
was going to show me. And so I remember at one point just looking in the mirror and I all I could see was this sad person. And and that went on for weeks. I can't say that I got out of bed every day and said, okay, I'm going to take a big step today and do something really major. It was just put one foot in front of the other and see where you go from here. So I had moved a very large clientele from that business to a temporary location. And I was grateful to have had that. But then one day, God just picked me up from there and said, here you go. And I remember that day very clearly because I drove by the building that I'm now in and my business is now in. And I thought, well, that's interesting. That looks like a little small house that is a business, but
Hmm.
it was for rent. And I thought, well, I don't really want to move right now. So with you start doing the self-talk thing, right? Like,
Yeah,
I'm not worthy. I don't know if I can do it. Oh my God, I'm scared. We're our own worst enemy, right?
I know we are.
And so I'm talking to myself, and I get almost to the highway. I call my son, and he says, "Go back, get that number." Because I think
Hmm.
the fear just kept me driving on by. And I went back, got the number, called, and that is my location today. And I've actually had the experience of the day when we walked in and we looked at the building first, and it was, not the way it looks today, but that was pre-renovation. And I remember walking in, but I could almost hear my clients talking and the people talking around me. So it was this real, um, almost like a deja vu experience that I had. And I think that's when I finally said, okay, pick up your bootstraps, let's go. This is
Yeah,
something that could work. And this is where God's calling you next. And so that's when I think the whole thing changed for me. And it wasn't easy, it was still one step at a time. And that self-talk thing was just really powerful because it just kept going. Oh, I don't
yeah.
know. You sure you're going to get this open?
Yeah, that's you. Well, so you have hit so many, buttons, I think, for women, walking through that uncertainty, whether it's business or relationship. I mean, as you were talking, all those little things, the heartbreak, the grief that you had to walk through, the uncertainty. Can I do it again, or could do it for the first time, like in my story? So there's all those pieces that I was relating to my own because I could feel those feelings, almost feel it with you. And I'm like, oh yes, there's so much the fear that goes along with it, that little chatter that goes in your head, that doubt, putting that doubt in your mind, all these pieces. But what I love about it is that there is hope.
Yes.
That, ladies, if there's anything, this is what we are here is to give you a little glimmer of hope that no matter where you're at, you aren't alone, first of all. And we all have some stories, and probably lots of stories, especially, if you're in, a woman of a more interesting age. And that we can walk through this together. And I think that's what your reflection is so inspiring about is a little piece, girls, you just take a minute for yourself
Mhm.
and walk through this with Deborah and realize maybe she's been where you have been. Yeah. And so what would you like the ladies to experience out of walking through your reflection? I know for me it was a little glimmer of hope that
Absolutely.
that a little
Well,
possibility of beautiful something I think you said it. So it's that there's something beautiful maybe ahead.
but I think the thing that is hopeful for them and was for me was that even though I kind of felt like I crashed and burned, right? Kind of like the Phoenix bird. Now I'm looking at it, and it's always easier to look at it from the other side.
Mm.
Now I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, this was exactly God's plan for me. And
Oh.
so, I think when it was happening, I was so caught up in the details of what was happening
Mhm.
that when you get on the other side, you can look back. And I think it's great to have girlfriends. I know the people like a Carol Dockham, who really helped me through the beginning of this business. My son was a key player. Getting other people around you that can appreciate what you're trying to do and the difference that you're trying to make. And I think the hope is in finding your own purpose, right?
Mm.
And when you find your own purpose and it's easy, it's almost like nothing is work anymore at all. Whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in your job, whether it's in, whatever other circumstance might be, if you're truly living your purpose. And I think that's why it was my time to go and I wouldn't have went. And so sometimes we get pushed through one door and the next door opens, but we can't get to the open door because the other door's got us blocked. And so, my hope for them is that they'll open that door and see what's on the other side. No matter how painful it was, no matter how much of a struggle it might feel like, just put that one foot in front of the other. And there are little things that you can do for yourself that help you feel good along the way. Like an example for me was I love to just soak in a bath. And so on the nights that I was having the most difficulty and the most insecurity and feeling unsure, I would just go soak in that bath. And sometimes just the water running over you just
Mm,
helps you feel better about yourself, right? And it could be anything. It could be a cup of tea. It could be, having just sitting and having a conversation with yourself, you
yeah,
know, and and answering what your questions are to yourself. I think sometimes we feel like we have to go to someone else to get the answer. But really, the answers are all inside of us. Every single
yes.
answer is inside of us.
Thank you for saying that because that is kind of the whole premise of these reflections is to experience the beauty within. We want women to recognize that it's already there. It just has to kind of come back out again because we get so overwhelmed with the details of the circumstances of what's happening. We forget to look within that, sometimes that strength is there. Yeah, maybe you need a little boost or somebody to hold your hand, but
Hmm.
they're usually reflecting back to you what you already have within
That's
because
right.
a lot of times other people can see that strength or that that grounding, that foundation that we have, or that resilience or that grit or whatever it is that is kind of uniquely you. And I love these gentle encouragements. One thing that you brought up was purpose, knowing what your purpose is. Sometimes I feel like when we're in that struggle, when we're in the midst of the story, we kind of maybe lose track of what maybe our purpose is, or maybe we don't feel we have a purpose. How did you kind of get back to that for yourself?
I think what truly took me back was just listening to my inner self. I quit doing the self-talk that was negative and I started doing some self-talk that was positive. So, um, I had taken a course years ago by Louise Hay. And so I pulled out that
Mhm.
book and it has some positive affirmations in it. And I just started reading those positive affirmations. When I would say to myself, "You're not worthy," I would say something that said, "You are completely and wholly where you're supposed to be," And so
Mhm.
I was able to offset the negative self-talk. And I think those kind of programs really did help me. The just, doing the shift, right? And I think as women, what we do is we wear all these different hats,
Mhm.
right? I've got the husband hat, the kid hat, the girlfriend hat, the this hat, the that hat, the work hat, right? And I started taking some of the hats off and started saying, okay, I don't have to wear all the hats at once.
Let's put some of them on the coat rack for a while.
Exactly. They can hang on the wall or on the coat rack. Exactly. And then I started being more available for myself, but I
Mhm.
also became more available for the other people around me because I was more fulfilled myself. And I
Yeah.
think it was easier at that point than to start seeing my purpose versus
Yeah.
what I thought my purpose was.
Yeah.
So I
So
used to think I knew what my purpose was. It was to make other people feel healthy and beautiful. Well, yes, but then I wasn't doing that for myself,
I,
right?
yes, somebody challenged me because I said, "Oh, my purpose I felt like was to celebrate 1 million women," and somebody challenged me. She said, "Well, how are you celebrating you?
Mm-hmm.
You're one of those 1 million."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I was called out."
It's always easier to look on the outside, though, That's the piece that's the easiest because that's what we're taught how to do.
Yeah.
But I think, and I was just talking to a client earlier today where she was talking about spending money on herself. And she
Yeah.
said, the one thing she's never going to do is she's never going to have gray hair. Not that she is, offended by anybody else having gray hair, but she said it makes her feel better about herself, having her hair colored and feeling like she looks more like herself, right?
Yeah. Oh
And
my
I
God.
think, that's what we all want. We all want to just feel like we look our most beautiful and confident self.
Yeah, and because you want to feel beautiful. I
Hmm.
remember a story. It was, I think, Charity Water, and they had a video, promotional video. They were in a village and they were putting in a well. And so this, they're carrying all the jugs of water because now they have a well. And they interviewed one woman, and she goes, "Now I can feel beautiful because I can wash my face."
Oh,
But
yes,
the thing
exactly.
that caught me was she wanted to feel beautiful. It's not that she was going
Yes.
to look beautiful. She wanted to
Right.
feel that beauty. And I think that's so much what we want is to feel that inner glow and
Mhm.
that beauty, if you will. So this leads us to one of your reflections here in the magazine. So ladies, you can flip open your magazine, whether it be digital, and one day it'll be on Amazon too. So you'll have a paper copy, but currently you can also download the PDF. And it says, "Today I choose." So choose one thing for yourself, and you give a whole bunch of little different things. And you don't have to choose like I have to do 10 things today, but it's like I gave myself permission to rest. I had to do that last Friday. I was so burnt out, and I didn't realize how hard I've been kind of pushing myself again. I was burnt out, and I thought I just have to give myself some rest.
Hmm. And that felt really good, didn't it? To take that little bit of time and do that.
Yeah, yeah, my
I feel
body
better today
needed
because of
it.
it.
Yeah, or spend some time in prayer, reflection, or gratitude, which you were kind of talking about, or drink
Mhm.
some water to nourish your body.
Hmm.
Reach out to someone who can encourage you. What if you just called up a girlfriend and said, "You know what? I just need some encouragement today."
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah, or let go of one thing that no longer serves you.
That's a really important one. I think when I
Yeah.
let go that of the fact that that business no longer served me and I no longer
Mm,
served it, that was a
yeah.
very powerful moment.
That's a hard one to probably speak out too. That you know what that didn't wasn't serving us. Yeah, I've had to do that along the way, and when walking through divorce because you have to. There's a lot of things there to let go
Hmm.
and to walk into something new. You say choose peace over pressure today. Okay, there's a big one. How much pressure do we put on ourselves? You're talking about that self-doubt, "Oh, I've got to make these, I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I've got to help these people and all that pressure that is self-inflicted."
Hmm.
Nobody said that we
That
had to do
self-talk can
that.
be that can be your worst enemy for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So ladies, so this is what I love is just these little reminders. So that was part of the reflection. And then you go into some reflection prompts. So girls, maybe just choose one. you
Hmm.
know, and you've got a variety of them. And so let's just kind of go over a couple. What part of my life feels heavy right now? Okay, that's a really great question. Maybe just sit and think for a second. Well, give yourself a minute even. Sometimes we don't even give ourselves that. But what feels a little bit heavy at the moment? I would love to hear some. You could write in the comments, tell us, could share with us, because sometimes when we share, it jogs our brain cells in ourselves too. It's like, oh yeah, you know what? And that might have felt heavy for me too at one point, or this is feeling heavy for me because I don't think of it that way. But there's things in our day that are carrying a lot of weight that maybe we don't have to be carrying.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. And then you talk about what dream or passion have I placed on hold? So we're
That's a good one.
there. Yeah, there are. And to just what is that passion that maybe has been like, tickling you in the neck and going, yeah, maybe what could be maybe one action or just thinking about it. What is that? Because that just brings joy and maybe some creative thought of what could be.
Right. Right. An example was yesterday. One of the things that I love is to be in the sunshine. And I live in Cincinnati, so the weather goes up and down, but we have a lot of
Huh?
clouds. And we had a
Oh,
beautiful sunny day yesterday. And allowing myself to go sit in that sun for just a 15 or 20 minutes was so powerful. I went from feeling like I was overwhelmed and exhausted to really energized. And it just made the whole day better. Just that 10, 15 minutes. And by the time 20 minutes was over and I went back in, I was like, wow, this is really different.
Yes, and thank you for that reminder because I can push myself so hard. It's like, oh, I have to accomplish all this. And it's like, nobody's here telling me. I'm my own boss. And I have a pool out there in my where I live, and I'm like, the other day I wouldn't allow myself to go out until I was finished with this one project. And I thought, just think if I had taken that 10 minutes or that 20 minutes just to go put my toes in the pool or sit there quietly, maybe I would have been more productive when I came
Mhm.
back because I would have
And that's what I
been.
noticed yesterday I was. I got a lot of things done in the evening, probably twice as much as I would have.
Yeah. So, girls, go take a moment, go take 10 minutes. These are like 10-minute reflections here in the magazine. You don't have to answer everything. Just pick out something. Pick out maybe on Deborah's page, maybe one thing that you're going to do today and maybe drink some more water. Go put maybe some basil or some cucumber, or my son the other day had me put watermelon in my
Mm.
water. And I'm like, wow, that's really good. And I felt like it was a little treat to
Hmm.
have this special water that looked all pretty, you know, these different things. And so as we were kind of walking through, what is your encouragement? What would you like women to experience as they walk through this reflection?
I really want them to experience letting themselves enjoy their life. So by picking these small little things that help them feel better,
Yeah,
I want to know that they've enjoyed their life a little bit more. Because I think sometimes we just get so busy with all the obligations and all the things, and we do put it on ourselves. I mean, sometimes other people put it on us too, but we have to accept that, right? And so learning not to accept everything that might not be yours
yeah,
to accept, right? So I just want them to walk away with a feeling of they are important too. They're, a
yeah,
matter of fact, the more important they see themselves as, the more important and better they're going to be for everyone else. They're the reflection of them feeling happy and joyous and experiencing their life in a good way just becomes contagious to their families, their friends, and the people that are around
yeah.
them.
Yeah, isn't that something? And I love what you wrote in your encouragement in the reflection. The women who inspire us most are rarely the ones who had perfect lives.
Mhm.
Girls, we learn through other people's experiences, or we relate to that. We relate to those stories, those those feelings and those emotions that we felt during the circumstance, and the healing and that all that process, all those emotions, that the overcoming.
Mhm.
Yes. And so here you've dedicated your life to helping women restore confidence and beauty. So what are you doing today? Because you came through that past through into a new story. What's your new story? What are you doing?
So my news story today is I own my own wellness spa. It's a little mini spa. I have private rooms now. So I have
Oh,
one-on-one experiences with my clients that are really unique.
oh,
It's like a little mini office, which is what I'm sitting in right now, and you can see like some of the products behind me. And um, I love this room. It's my happy place. So I found my happy place. I found a place where it's serene and it's exciting and it's full of life. And it just makes me happy every day. I don't feel like I work. I feel like I get to go and play with my girlfriends.
oh, isn't that great?
Get to
And then
go
you're
sit in the room
sharing,
with them.
yeah, and then you're sharing that experience with them too, which is so important to be able to share your gifts and to bring other people and share that love, if you will. So I love how you ended this reflection. You said, remember, your next brave step does not have to be perfect. It simply has to begin.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
what would you like to leave the ladies with as we sign off?
I want them to begin their new journey. I want them to begin the journey of truly living their life. So just take that first step. And
Yes,
I know that it's an opportunity for them that they will find their way. They will find their way. Just
yeah.
a step at a time. Take that brave
One,
step.
one,
Choose that one thing that they've been putting off, that is their passion. And it will take them far.
yeah, yeah. And girls, you don't have to do it alone. We're here. We've got these reflections that you can walk through to remind yourself of that beauty within. And that's my hope for you is that you experience that and feel that beauty, girls. Just sit with it for a little bit. Give yourself a hug. This is one thing I learned. Give yourself a hug and then put your arms the other way and see how that feels. And it feels totally different. It's like somebody else is giving you a really wonderful, warm hug. So
Oh, I'm
we're
gonna
going to
do
leave
that.
you with that. I know you go like this and you go like this. And then I
Oh
remember my mom always patting us. So when I do it the
yeah.
opposite way, I
Oh
do it.
yeah. Love that. Love that.
Yeah. So I just want to leave everyone with a warm hug and we will see you next time on the Being Brave Tour.
Yes, and feel free to reach out to us, right? Because
Yes,
we're
absolutely. We've got all the information
here for
right
that.
in the magazine that you can reach out to each of the contributors. So thanks for joining us, Deborah. It's been just so fun having a conversation with you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.